Over the last 2 years, I've decreased my protein intake substantially, from over 160 grams a day to 120 grams. That's a 25% decrease in my protein intake. Given how much everyone's been saying that you need to eat a lot of protein, you'd expect I've lost a lot of muscle. But the opposite is the case. I've done several DEXA scans throughout this period that show I've actually increased my lean mass from 19.1 kilograms per square meter to 20.3 kilograms per square meter, an increase of 6%, going from 79 kilograms of body weight to 82 kilograms. And I've increased the muscle in my arms and legs from 8.9 kilograms per square meter to 10 kilograms per square meter, an increase of 12%, all while staying around the same body fat percentage the entire time. Now, it's not like I built insane amount of muscle, and to be honest, most of that is muscle memory, because in the past I had actually 3 kilograms more muscle. But it's surprising given that I'm eating 25% less protein, which is well below the 1 gram per pound of body weight that a lot of people are recommending. I'm going to walk you through my exact timeline of 4 DEXA scans I've taken throughout this 2-year period. And I'm going to explain to you why I've built more muscle while eating less protein. The biggest reason is I changed my training style slightly. In the past, I was focusing more on doing heavier weights with fewer reps, like a powerlifting focus, whereas over the past 2 years, I've reduced the weights slightly and I've done more reps. The reason for that is because over the last few years, I've been in a slight calorie deficit pretty much the entire time, and I've lost some body fat and as well as muscle mass. It's gonna be harder to build strength and be as strong as you can be while you're in a calorie deficit. But you can still do more volume with fewer weights and more repetitions, which is exactly what I did. I've also been doing significantly more cardio, which makes it harder to build strength at the same time. Because of that, my strength is going to be naturally lower, because I'm not eating as much food. To get around that, I'm just doing more reps instead, to take my muscles closer to failure with lighter weights. My total strength hasn't increased, because I'm eating less calories and I'm also lighter, but my muscle mass has increased. Or at least I've regained some of the muscle I've had in the past, while eating less protein. For example, previously I did on average 3 sets of 5 reps for every major compound exercise per week. However, now I've been just doing more sets and more reps, 5 to 6 sets and 6 to 12 reps per week. So I've almost doubled my weekly volume for each major muscle part, which means I'm just doing more work every week. When it comes to protein intake specifically, then my 120 grams a day intake could still be considered high protein compared to the regular diet. However, it's about 25% lower than what bodybuilders would eat, and what even some medical doctors recommend, the 1 gram per pound of body weight. If you look at some of the most comprehensive meta-analysis on this topic, then they show that 0.7 grams per pound per day or 1.6 grams per kilogram is already enough to maximize muscle growth. So the 1 gram per pound or 2.2 grams per kilogram of body weight is already more than enough, even for bodybuilders. You don't need to eat more than 0.7 grams per pound or 1.6 grams per kilogram per day. And another interesting component is that I've been eating less animal protein and more plant proteins. I'm getting around 1/3 of my protein from plant sources, 1/3 from dairy and 1/3 from meat or fish. Plant proteins can make you build muscle if you get enough of them, but you need more plant proteins than animal proteins to build muscle. So even accounting for this 120 grams of protein would technically be something like 110 or 100 grams of animal protein if I were to eat only animal protein. The entire point of this video is that you need less protein than you think to build and maintain muscle. You're not going to lose muscle if you eat less protein as long as you're doing resistance training. That's the biggest signal for muscle growth. If I'm eating less protein, what do I eat then? All the calories I've cut back from protein have gone into carbohydrates. I'm eating now about 300 grams of carbs per day. I haven't increased my fat intake. I'm eating around the same amount of fat, which is 70 to 80 grams per day. I do think that the higher carb ratio helped me to maintain and build muscle with less protein, because the carbohydrates help to fuel my training at higher volumes. Doing more reps and sets means that I'm burning more glycogen for fuel, and eating more carbohydrates replenishes that glycogen. Carbohydrates might also have an anti-catabolic effect through insulin signaling. Insulin isn't a fat storage hormone, it's a hormone of growth. And if you do resistance training, then the insulin signaling is going to support muscle growth rather than fat gain. And lifting weights also makes you super insulin sensitive. So all the carbohydrates I eat go to my muscle, and I have perfect blood sugar. Alright, now let's go through my DEXA scans over the last 2 years. My first DEXA scan was in November 2023. Regarding muscle mass, my results were 19.1 kilograms per square meter for lean mass and 8.9 kilograms per square meter for my appendicular lean mass index, which refers to the muscle in your arms and legs. For reference, these results already put me close to the 10% of the entire population in terms of muscle mass, which means I have more muscle than 90% of people. My second DEXA scan was in July 2024, and my lean mass then was 19.4 kilograms per square meter, and my muscle mass in my arms and legs was 9.1 kilograms per square meter. That's a small increase compared to the first scan. My third DEXA scan was in January 2025, and my lean mass then was 19.9 kilograms per square meter, and my muscle in my arms and legs was 9.5 kilograms per square meter, which is another small improvement. And my last DEXA scan was in May 2025, where my lean mass was 20.3 kilograms per square meter, and my muscle in the arms and legs was 10 kilograms per square meter, which is another small improvement. These results put me above the 95% of the population and quite close to the 97%. In total, it's a 6% increase in my lean mass and 12% increase in my lean mass in the arms and legs specifically. The interesting and remarkable thing about my results is that my visceral fat had also decreased from 350 grams in my first DEXA scan to 53 grams in my lowest in January 2025 and 130 grams in May 2025, after I gained a little bit of weight deliberately to build muscle. That's a 62% decrease in my visceral fat, from good to excellent. That's amazing given the fact that I increased my lean muscle mass and my body fat percentage stayed relatively the same. So I was able to target visceral fat specifically while increasing my lean mass. And another remarkable thing is that my blood work has also improved during this time. My insulin sensitivity and blood sugar markers, as well as my kidney markers, have stayed relatively the same between November and now. My insulin sensitivity and kidney markers have stayed relatively the same over the last 2 years. But what I have seen is a decrease in my lipids and some of my liver enzymes. So overall, I've managed to increase my lean muscle mass while decreasing my visceral fat mass and improving my blood work, which means I'm healthier by all parameters. So how much protein do you need? You don't need more than 1.6 grams per kilogram per day, which is around 0.73 grams per pound per day. For simplicity, you can keep it at 0.8 grams per pound per day, but you definitely don't need 1 gram per pound per day. Eating more protein isn't going to help you build or maintain muscle. You need to do resistance training for that and meet enough volume. Now, if you are an older person, you might need more protein, over 0.8 grams per pound per day, but you still need to do resistance training. The biggest determinant of muscle growth and maintenance is resistance training. Do 10 to 20 working sets per week per main muscle group, such as the legs, shoulders, chest, and back. For most people, it's going to be 2 workouts per week per muscle group, but you can also do it in a single workout. Resistance training is an important component of overall health, but so is cardiovascular exercise, which is something I also started doing more. Check out my full evidence-based workout plan for longevity next.